I've made over $200,000 from editing, and that was done through the portfolio that I have right now. And recently, I went through the process of hiring 2 editors. And out of 150 applications, these were the editors who didn't make these 3 mistakes. So here they are so that you don't make them. The first mistake that most editors make in their portfolios is that they don't use social proof properly. I want you to imagine this. If you were going to go to a restaurant, there's 10 different options and you have no idea which one to go to. And on the windows of all of these restaurants, it's saying how amazing the food is. They all have got good reviews and everything. But then your friend comes in and says, oh yeah, I've been to that one before. It's actually amazing. Which restaurant would you now be more likely to go to? Of course, the one that you were recommended by your friend. Even if he didn't directly recommend it to you, just him talking about it serves as social proof. We are, as humans, more likely to do something just because people similar to us have done something. That's what social proof is. And the same thing happens with clients. When clients see that you have worked with other clients, they are more likely to actually work with you, which makes it so important for us to show that we've actually worked with other people. And while this does sound pretty obvious, a lot of editors forget that this happens the other way too. If you actively show that you've worked on practice edits and you're showing just intros that you've edited, what does that show? Does that show that you've gotten clients in the past, or does that now show social proof in the opposite direction? It's actively showing that you haven't worked with people. Now the problem is, I've seen editors where there were multiple, where they've worked with maybe not huge guys, but they've worked with some clients, but their first video in their portfolio is like a practice edit. Maybe a YouTube unlisted video, or God forbid, just on some random video hosting software where it's clear it wasn't their client work. Because here's the thing with social proof. You can't actually actively tell people, hey, I've worked with these guys, look at this retention I have maximized for this person. You don't want to make it in this cringe sort of forced way when you're telling people you've worked with them. It's actually the more subtle ways of social proof that actually serve the best. It's sort of the equivalent of that really loud person that you maybe used to go to school with, where you can tell he's sort of overcompensating for some sort of insecurity. Maybe that's even me, but it's more the quiet guy who doesn't really say anything, the guy who wears that oversized hoodie and now you find out of nowhere that he's actually huge, he's hench. That's why when you put videos in your portfolio where it is directly linked from your client's channel, and you can just hover above, in the top left when you embed a video, it shows that, oh, it's this person's profile picture and they have this many subscribers. The actual subscriber count doesn't really matter, I'll be totally honest. This effect works whether your client has 10 million subscribers or 500,000 or 10,000 or even less than 1,000. The difference between hosting it on a private channel versus on a client's channel is huge. I would rather you prioritize in your portfolio a mid video that is on a client channel rather than an amazing video that is just an intro or just a practice edit. The second mistake that a ton of editors make when it comes to portfolios is they don't have the correct prioritization of videos. In human psychology, there's something called biases. These are sort of quirks within the human brain. And if you can understand biases and human psychology, you can understand client acquisition at such a deeper level. And there's 2 specific biases that we need to keep in mind when we're creating our portfolio and prioritizing which videos come first and which ones come later. The first bias is the first impression bias. That means that the first video that someone sees is going to determine the frame in which they see the entire rest of the portfolio. If they see that that first video is a practice edit or just a short animation where maybe it's a good edit but it's not a full video, they're going to be expecting the rest of the portfolio to be worse. So that second video could be amazing, but they're going in expecting the worst. That first video being amazing sets up the client mentally to look at that second video and expect it to be good. And in a weird way, we sort of just see whatever the brain expects. If you're expecting to see a good video, you'll see it as a good video. And the second cognitive bias that we want to play to is recency bias. This means that the last thing that we're exposed to is the thing that sort of lingers in our mind. It affects our decision the most. I want you to imagine you're on a date and the whole date goes well, you're hitting it off, you guys are vibing, and right at the end, the girl says like this really offensive joke. You've been together for 45 minutes and right at the end for 2 minutes, she just messes up everything stupid, whatever. Are you going to like her or not? If that last little bit, you can imagine, it sort of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. That's what recency bias is. If that last video in your portfolio, just before you give that call to action for someone to actually message you or email you, whatever it is, if that last video is a weak video, you sort of just threw away all the effort of the rest of them. So keeping these two biases in mind makes it clear what we should do. We should start and end strong. Your best video should be at the top and your second best video should be at the bottom, and the rest of them should be in between. If you're struggling to know what your best video actually is, just think in terms of what type of content would I want to edit more of. That's the sort of work that you want to prioritize. And the third mistake that way too many editors make, and this is the saddest one of all because they think they're doing something good, is they have way too much complexity. I remember when I had my first portfolio, this was way back in the day, I used to have all these cool animations where things would slide in, it would fade in as you scroll, and I remember looking back at my portfolio after creating it, being so proud. I remember I'd reload it just to be able to see the animations again. Here's the thing, my portfolio right now has 0 animations. What I mean by that isn't the videos are just stills. I mean, the videos have the animations in it. In terms of the actual portfolio or the text on there, how the videos are actually laid out, they're just static. And here's the funny thing, it converts better. I've had higher quality clients and it's just easier to navigate because me and you, we're both creatives, we're video editors. So to us, seeing these animations, it looks cool. But the question is right now, are we trying to optimize for the portfolio looking cool, or are you trying to optimize for converting clients? Because when someone's kind of scrolling through and for some reason they're trying to look through but this thing hasn't loaded for like half a second, that's often what happens when you add animations, that's going to hurt your conversions because every single microsecond counts when you're trying to sell someone on a page. And if that doesn't load up, because on your side it might load up because your cache and your cookies have basically preloaded it, so you think it's fast. So as a rule of thumb, keep this in mind. The whole point of your portfolio is to show off your videos. Your videos should be the focus. It should be large enough for you to see and watch without needing to full screen them. You shouldn't have such blocks of text or text that's so large that videos almost seem like they're the secondary piece of information rather than the main focus. So those are the 3 mistakes that you need to make sure you avoid while optimizing your portfolio. Hope you liked this. You can like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace.